Daddy said it's a secret. John came to me with a troubled look, holding a smartphone. That's Dad's phone. You're gonna get in trouble for taking it without asking. I cautioned John, but his unusually serious demeanor caught my attention. It was Sean's phone, which I don't usually see. Confused, I took Sean's phone from John and started to go through it.
What? No way!
Then, in a panic, I began to undress Sean, who was sleeping. I quickly looked at his thigh. Sean's thigh was covered in bruises, likely from falling down the stairs, looking painfully injured. And just to be sure, I decided to check further. There was such a horrifying photo. Maybe he was injured in places that are hard to see. Feeling anxious and tense, I gently checked.
What does this mean?
That's when I discovered a shocking truth. My name is Mary Allen. I am 42 years old this year. I live with my husband of the same age, Sean, and our 5-year-old son, John. Sean and I met at our new job. I quit my office job for a career upgrade and joined the company where Sean works as a salesperson. Sean works there as a real estate broker. The first impression I had of Sean was that of a sleek man. Sean looks refreshing and cool. He appears younger than his age and is very fashionable in his dress sense. Because of this, Sean is quite popular. So, I never thought I'd get into a romantic relationship with Sean. The reason we started dating was because we ended up handling the same project. It was a project involving the brokerage of a large commercial building. Originally, it was a consultation from my client, but it was too much for me to handle alone. So, at the suggestion of my direct supervisor, Sean became my support. And Sean took on the role of mentor, but it was quite tough. Having worked as an office worker in my previous job, I had no experience in creating proposals. Because of this, every time I submitted a proposal to Sean, I was told to do it over, and had to make numerous revisions. I was close to breaking, but Sean wouldn't even allow that. This was a major project for our client, and multiple companies were scheduled to present. To land this big contract, we needed to outdo our competitors. With the uncertainty of our company being chosen, Sean made me practice the presentation until late into the night. Missing the last train and having to take a taxi home became a frequent occurrence. Sean's guidance was definitely over the top. If we keep spending all our time on presentations, it's going to affect our other clients. I protested to Sean.
I can't push myself any harder. Especially when we don't even know if our company will be chosen.
However, Sean wouldn't accept it. The success of this project will affect my promotion. If you understand, then hurry up and fix this proposal, he said, ordering me to redo it.
Yes.
Though I wasn't convinced, Sean was my senior. So, reluctantly, I did as Sean said. But ultimately, thanks to Sean, the presentation was a huge success. Our company landed the big contract. If it weren't for Sean, I might have given up too soon. The moment we secured the contract, I thanked to Sean.
It's all thanks to you, Mr. Allen. Thank you.
For the first time, I was glad Sean was there. Then, with a happy smile, Sean said,
As a thank you, treat me to dinner. Once work is over, we're going out to drink. Yes.
With that, Sean took me to his favorite bar after work. Over drinks, Sean shared his dreams with me. I thought that aspect of Sean was wonderful. That's how Sean and I got to know each other better and eventually started dating. And a year later, I found out I was pregnant and we decided to get married. Our son, John, was adorable and I could not love him more. I was determined to do my best for our family. I thought so. However, that resolve didn't last long. It changed when John turned 5 and I switched to full-time work. Our company allowed reduced working hours until the child turned 4. So, when John turned 5, I had to work full-time. If I didn't work full-time, I would have to consider switching to part-time. Some people did opt for part-time, but I wanted a job with responsibilities, so I chose full-time. Fortunately, with extended daycare, I could manage the daycare drop-offs and pickups. As I got used to working full-time, Sean came to me with a problem. That day, Sean looked tense, and he hardly touched his dinner. The confident and assertive Sean was nowhere to be seen. I was concerned about Sean but didn't say anything myself. Eventually, Sean reluctantly brought up his issue. Recently, I've been having trouble with the new transfer, Ms. Williams.
That Williams? What's going on?
I asked Sean, surprised. I had transferred departments and now worked in a different one from Sean. So, I didn't know who had been newly assigned to his previous department. Sean was talking about Yvonne Williams, who was quite a famous figure in the company in a way. She was 38 years old and cute, but rumored to be very persistent with men. According to office gossip, once she took a liking to someone, she would go to great lengths to win them over. She'd secretly wait for them to ensure a meeting or find out their contact information to send multiple emails. It seems it doesn't matter to her if someone is married or already has a partner. She's not satisfied until she makes them hers. Everyone knows Yvonne is like this, so the men always keep their distance. To avoid unnecessary trouble. Ideally, such a problematic person would be let go from the company quickly. But, I heard Yvonne is a relative of someone in the company's upper management, so they can't just fire her that easily. That's why Yvonne has been left to do whatever she pleases within the company. And it seems Sean has become Yvonne's target. Actually, Ms. Williams received a complaint from a client, and I ended up supporting her with that issue the other day. That seems to have made her take a liking to me. Sean said, with a troubled look on his face. Hearing Sean's story made me go pale.
Are you being followed by Ms. Williams?
Sean nodded silently.
You've got to be kidding.
This company is rewarding, and if possible, I don't want to leave. Surely, Sean feels the same. Even if we were to leave the company, it doesn't guarantee that Yvonne would give up on Sean. When I heard Sean had become Yvonne's target, something clicked. Just the other day, Yvonne came to our department and looked around the room. I initially thought she had business with someone, but Yvonne didn't seem to talk to anyone. I watched Yvonne and tilted my head in confusion. Then, in the next moment, our eyes met. Yvonne sneered through her nose. I didn't understand the meaning at that time, but she probably came to check out the face of Sean's wife, me. If Sean has become Yvonne's target, it might negatively impact me too. There's a possibility that Yvonne might do something to make Sean divorce me. I sighed, wondering what to do next. Sean looked tired after that. And his return time from work became later and later. I'm home.
Sean! Did something happen with Ms. Williams again?
I asked Sean when he got home. Then, Sean nodded. Yeah. Today, I was followed by Ms. Williams again on my way home. He answered, lacking energy. I see. Hearing Sean's response made my voice drop too. Lately, Sean's return time has been past 1 a.m. I've heard it's because of Yvonne's stalking. Even if he leaves work on time, Yvonne, who lies in wait, approaches him, and even if he refuses, she follows him. It would be trouble if she followed him home. So, reluctantly, he stays to talk with Yvonne until she's satisfied, and before he knows it, it's late. It must be tough dealing with this every day. John's been feeling lonely too. I couldn't help but think that Yvonne really is as rumored, and I felt sorry for Sean. Lately, on his days off, Sean has started to stay away from home too. The reason is Yvonne. If Ms. Williams comes to our house on a day off, it would be dangerous for Mary and John. So, I decide to spend the day somewhere outside, Sean would say before heading out for the weekend. Because of this, John looks lonely. Dad's gone out again? I wanted to play with him. Yeah. I didn't know what to say to John, so I could only give him a vague response. John talked to me with a disappointed face. Plus, I wanted to see Dad's phone again. What a bummer. Thinking back, Sean often showed John something on his phone on his days off. I don't know what he was showing, but it must have been some game on his phone. I thought it was unavoidable for Sean to disappear on weekends, even at the expense of family time. Yvonne has connections with the upper management, so getting employee personal information would be easy for her. That's why the possibility of Yvonne coming to our house wasn't far-fetched. Also, I've been feeling threatened by Yvonne being too close for comfort. Ever since I heard Yvonne was targeting Sean, I've been restless at work. Because Yvonne gives me gestures that instill fear. One day, I bumped into Yvonne in the company hallway. Upon seeing me, Yvonne gave a creepy grin. And as we passed by each other, she muttered in a low voice, "Better divorce Sean quickly. Who knows what might happen to you and your son?"
What?
By the time I turned around, Yvonne was gone. The thought of something happening to John because I didn't leave Sean was terrifying. It's too late once something happens. Yvonne is tearing our family apart. How long will this life go on?
I'm exhausted.
I sighed deeply to myself. Then, one day, it finally happened.
Sean is in the hospital.
That was the call from the hospital. According to the nurse who called, Sean seems to have fallen from the top of the stairs. The hospital still didn't know why Sean had fallen. I thought it might be because of alcohol. Sean loves to drink, and I considered the possibility that he had fallen because he was drunk. "Mom, what's wrong?" John looked worried. Seeing John, I didn't want to cause him unnecessary worry. John is only 5 and should always be smiling. So, I forced a smile and said to John, "Dad got a little hurt, it seems. I don't think it's anything to worry about. How about we go see Dad now?" Upon hearing my suggestion, John immediately answered, "Yeah. Let's go." Before leaving the house with John, I packed a bag with Sean's change of clothes and essentials. I thought Sean might not be able to be discharged from the hospital soon. Upon arriving at the hospital with John, we were led by a nurse to a private room. I tried to open the door, but my hand was shaking from nervousness. Then, as we entered, I saw Sean lying on the bed. Even as we entered the room, there was no sign of him waking up, which made me anxious. A nurse by our side explained Sean's condition to us. It seems Sean had been in surgery for a while, and due to the anesthesia, he wouldn't wake up for some time. After finishing the explanation, the nurse left the room. On the bedside table next to where Sean was sleeping, there were items like a smartphone and a ballpoint pen, probably belonging to Sean right up until this happened.
Sean! How did this happen?
I couldn't help but feel like crying as I looked at Sean's injured state. The nurse had mentioned he would need to stay in the hospital for a while. Thinking about the future made my head spin. If Sean doesn't wake up, and with John only being 5 years old. Seeing me about to cry from anxiety, John spoke up. "Mom, are you okay?" John looked very worried. I couldn't let John worry any more than this. Forcing a smile, I replied,
"It's okay. Don't worry. That's good. I get worried when Mom isn't happy."
John said with a relieved expression. "I'm sorry for worrying you," I said, feeling a bit better just by looking at John. However, John then turned serious and walked over to the bedside table where Sean was lying. He picked up Sean's smartphone. John. I had no idea why John was doing that. Then, with a troubled look on his face, John brought the smartphone to me, saying, "Dad said this is a secret." I wondered why John wanted me to see Sean's smartphone. I had no idea why. "That's Dad's phone. You're gonna get in trouble for taking it without asking," I warned John, but I was concerned about his serious demeanor. Sean's phone, which I don't usually see. Confused, I took Sean's phone from John and started to look through it.
What? No way!
I turned pale upon seeing Sean's phone. It was filled with numerous emails from Yvonne. Initially, the content was mostly Yvonne trying to promote herself. But gradually, the messages began to threaten Sean. Then, I froze upon reading a certain email. "Divorce your wife and be with me. Otherwise, who knows what might happen to your child. I can do anything for you." Could Yvonne be using John as leverage for her threats? I glanced at John and began to tremble with fear. I couldn't live if something happened to John. And perhaps Sean ended up in this situation trying to protect John. I continued reading the emails. Then, I found an attached photo. The photo turned me pale.
What is this?
I unintentionally raised my voice, forgetting I was in a hospital. It was a photo of a teddy bear with bandages wrapped around its thigh. Looking battered.
It's really creepy, but could it be?
I looked at Sean apprehensively. It could be some sort of message from Yvonne. So, I hurriedly undressed the sleeping Sean to check his thighs. After thoroughly checking, I let out a sigh of relief.
Good. There don't seem to be any stab wounds.
Sean's thighs were likely bruised from falling down the stairs, looking painfully injured. However, there didn't seem to be any wounds inflicted on purpose, and I felt relieved. Seeing that photo made me think Yvonne might have harmed Sean. Yvonne is obsessed with love, to the point of being too single-minded. So, if she got upset, there's no telling what she might do. She has stalked in the past and repeatedly contacted Sean even after being rejected. She's not the type to give up easily. And just to be sure, I decided to check further. After such a horrifying photo, there might be injuries in places hard to see. Feeling anxious and tense, I gently checked. After looking closely, I noticed something odd.
What does this mean?
I unintentionally raised my voice. That's when I discovered a shocking truth. Sean was completely hairless in various places. Upon closer inspection, it seemed like he had undergone full-body hair removal. I hadn't noticed at first because of the bruises, but his arms and legs were smooth as well. I felt a slight sense of incongruity. I couldn't understand why Sean would undergo full-body hair removal. While hair removal in certain areas might be performed by a hospital for surgery, it would be unusual to do so for the entire body. Moreover, Sean doesn't seem like the type to undergo full-body hair removal. Originally, Sean was quite hairy but seemed unconcerned about it. "I'm rugged and manly, right?" I remember him saying confidently. Would Sean really go to the trouble of getting hair removal? I gently pulled Sean's pants back up. It would be awkward if he woke up with his pants down. After a while, Sean woke up.
"Mary, did you come?"
Sean spoke to me with a vacant expression.
"Dad, you finally woke up? We were so worried about you."
John was happy to see Sean awake and ran straight to him.
"John came too? Thank you,"
Sean said, looking lovingly at John. However, my feelings were mixed. The unease about Sean's full-body hair removal still lingered. But I couldn't let Sean catch on to my unnecessary concerns. And there was a chance it was just unwarranted worry. "I brought your things since it looks like you'll be staying in the hospital. We'll come to visit again, so don't push yourself," I said to Sean, and he replied,
"Mary, thank you."
Then, without turning back, John and I left the hospital. From the next day, I started to take action. Sean might be hiding something significant. The full-body hair removal was too suspicious. I decided to hire a detective agency to investigate Sean's behavior. The agency told me it would take about 2 weeks to get the results. 2 weeks would be just before Sean's scheduled discharge date. I decided to wait patiently for the investigation results. However, those 2 weeks felt incredibly long. I had to act as if everything was normal. I decided to take a long leave from work, citing Sean's care as the reason. I was also worried about how Yvonne would react. She might come to our house, thinking Sean wouldn't be there. With Sean absent, it would be dangerous if Yvonne showed up unexpectedly. It felt safer to have John at home rather than sending him to daycare. And to avoid raising Sean's suspicions, I took John to visit Sean occasionally. I couldn't let Sean find out about hiring the detective agency. Every time we visited, Sean greeted us with a happy face.
"Family really is wonderful. Marrying Mary was truly the best decision."
Lying on the hospital bed, Sean said this, but I felt a sense of insincerity. At this point, I was doubting Sean. There were other suspicious signs besides the full-body hair removal. Whenever I visited, I often heard notification sounds from Sean's phone. Whenever I asked, "Who's contacting you?" Sean just evaded the question. "It's probably just spam from online stores." "No need to look," he said, avoiding checking his phone right then and there. But without seeing the investigation results, there's no certainty. If Sean is innocent and he finds out, I'd surely be scolded. So, I pretended nothing was amiss, carrying on as a family with Sean. I was anxious about possibly running into Yvonne at the hospital since we went there so often with John. I thought it could be dangerous if we bumped into her while with John. However, we never encountered Yvonne at the hospital. Maybe Yvonne had given up on Sean. But given her past obsession, it seemed unusual. The conclusion felt too simple, leaving me unsettled. Then, the fateful 2 weeks passed. I glanced over the results from the detective agency and sighed deeply. Just as I thought. The results were as I had expected, leaving me dismayed. After leaving John with my parents, I headed to the hospital where Sean was alone.
"Where's John?"
Sean asked, surprised to see me alone. He must have found it strange since I always came with John. "John's at my parents' place." "More importantly, can you be discharged?" I asked, and Sean replied with a smile.
"Yeah, I can be discharged this afternoon. Mary, thank you for everything. I'll work even harder once I'm discharged."
Sean seemed genuinely happy about being discharged. He must be relieved. But I had no intention of continuing as a family with him any longer. I looked at Sean intently.
"What's wrong?"
he asked, puzzled by my stare. That's when I firmly told Sean. "What are you going to work hard on?"
"Cheating with Ms. Williams, perhaps?"
As I glared at him, Sean seemed flustered.
"Mary, what are you talking about all of a sudden? Cheating with Ms. Williams is out of the question. I've been troubled by her stalking me."
Sean continued desperately explaining how much of a nuisance Yvonne had been to him. "Because Mary and John are important to me," Sean told me. Seeing Sean like this only made him seem more ridiculous. I couldn't help but let out a snort of laughter. Then, I confronted Sean with the investigation results. "Can you read this?"
"What's this?"
Sean started to read the results reluctantly. But as he read on, his face turned pale.
"How did you find out?"
Clearly, Sean thought he wouldn't be caught. I could only sigh in disbelief.
"Well, you have Mary and John, you've been busy cheating, haven't you? Ms. Williams was just one of your flings. Truly failing as both a father and a husband."
I lashed out at Sean. Sean looked down, his face filled with regret. The detective agency's report was shocking. Sean had been playing around with various women. From women in their 20s to those about my mother's age, his tastes were broad. Among his flings was Yvonne. Yvonne might have been serious about Sean, but to him, she was just another conquest. Their initially fun relationship gradually turned sour. Given Yvonne's nature, she started to demand more from Sean. She complained about his other affairs. But Sean wanted to keep playing the field. I thought him utterly despicable as a person. That's why Sean found Yvonne bothersome and attempted to break things off with her. However, Yvonne wouldn't have it. Because she had already dreamed of marrying Sean. So that's why he suggested we break up. Soon after, I started receiving threatening emails from Yvonne and she began stalking me. Without regard for holidays, Yvonne started coming to see Sean. The reason Sean was hospitalized this time also ties back to Yvonne. When Sean tried to break things off, an enraged Yvonne pushed him from the top of the stairs. That fall led to Sean's serious injuries this time. Seeing the investigation results, any love I had for Sean was completely gone.
"Mary! Listen! About this investigation result."
Sean tried desperately to make excuses. But he couldn't come up with a good one and just mumbled. It's no wonder Sean found himself at a loss for words. So, he couldn't dodge the situation. I let out a heavy sigh.
"Let's get a divorce. I'll take care of John." That's fine, right?
After being betrayed like this by Sean. And Yvonne wasn't his only affair. Even after marrying me and having John, Sean cheated with numerous women. But Sean did something even worse. It involved John. Before coming here, I asked John,
"Why did you try to show me Dad's phone that time?"
John hesitantly said, "Dad often showed me his phone, right? He'd show me pictures of women while bragging, see how popular I am. I thought maybe those women caused trouble." My face turned red with anger hearing John's words. Sean had been showing John pictures of his affairs. John is only 5 years old. I couldn't believe he'd expose his son to his infidelity and brag about it. And Sean thought he wouldn't get caught. In a way, he was brazen about it. It's way too much. Absolutely unforgivable. You showed John pictures of Ms. Williams and your other affairs, didn't you? I don't want someone like that around John. It's bad for his upbringing, I snapped at Sean, and he fell silent for a moment. Then I continued,
"Why don't you divorce me and remarry one of your affairs? With all the cheating you've done, you'd have plenty of choices, wouldn't you?"
But Sean refused to agree to a divorce. I absolutely don't want a divorce. First of all, we still have 30 years left on the mortgage, and then there's John. Sean said, opposing the idea. Bringing up the house's mortgage now. It seems Sean really only thinks about himself. Sean continued with a parade of excuses. Mary was too busy with work and childcare, never paying attention to me. I was just trying to ease my loneliness. Sean tried to justify his cheating. He continued trying to convince me he was right. Further discussion seemed pointless. I told Sean, who was desperately trying to justify himself,
"We're getting a divorce either way. We'll discuss the details through lawyers." "I don't want a divorce,"
Sean murmured, repeating his refusal. Sean has no place in John's and my life. I'll be reporting this matter to the company, I said, fluttering the investigation results before him. Sean's face turned pale instantly. If you do that, my position at the company will be ruined. Please, don't tell the company, Sean begged repeatedly. Indeed, if this came out, Sean wouldn't get off scot-free. He might at least be suspended. But I had decided not to hold back.
Absolutely not. Sean and Ms. Williams can both go to hell. You can manage your discharge paperwork yourself. Mary! Wait!
Sean called out as I left him in the room, refusing to listen. In the end, Sean and I managed to finalize our divorce. Sean showed considerable reluctance to the divorce, but there was plenty of evidence of his affairs. Not just 1 or 2 women. I told him we'd go to court if he made things difficult, and that hurried him to submit the completed divorce papers. Going to court would mean more expenses, and Sean, wanting to keep the matter private, would find it troubling. In the end, it seems Sean prioritized his own self-preservation over his family. And as for alimony, I was able to receive a standard amount from Sean. Of course, I also got custody of John. Initially, Sean claimed he wanted custody of John. But John firmly rejected him.
"I'll go with Mom." "Dad, you care more about other women than me, right?" "John."
Sean's shoulders slumped upon hearing John's words. He probably thought John would choose him. It's a mystery where such confidence came from. And about what happened afterward, Sean was fired from his job. He faced a harsher punishment than just a suspension. The reason lies with Yvonne. After that incident, Yvonne was arrested, and the whole series of events became public within the company. The incident of Sean falling down the stairs had been witnessed by many. Although not initially reported to the hospital's doctors and nurses, it turned into quite a big deal. There were numerous eyewitnesses, and Yvonne was quickly apprehended. The incident was even posted on social media with video. That probably made it easier for the police to catch her. The reason I never encountered Yvonne at the hospital was that she had already been arrested. Of course, Yvonne was also fired from the company. Even relatives in the upper management couldn't cover for her. Given what she did, it seemed only natural. I plan to demand alimony from Yvonne through a lawyer. Surely, even after her release, Yvonne will continue to face difficulties. And the company's backlash was directed at Sean too. Sean had been hospitalized and initially thought to be a victim. However, Sean's promiscuity was soon reported both internally and externally. Sean had even made advances on women he met through work. Naturally, the company couldn't keep such a problematic person. So, Sean was quickly dismissed. A deserved outcome, indeed. Afterward, Sean contacted me multiple times.
I've been fired, and I can't pay the mortgage. Please, can't we start over? I want to see John too.
Without a job, Sean is left with nothing but debt. Rumors suggest he even had affairs with married women and is being sued for alimony by their husbands. But this is all Sean's own doing.
Just pay the child support already,
I told him before hanging up the phone. Then, I blocked Sean's contact. If child support payments stop in the future, I plan to consult a lawyer again. I won't let Sean take the easy way out. He deserves a life full of hardship. Now, it's just John and me living together. With the alimony received, we moved to a well-secured apartment complex. Becoming a single mother, I wanted to ensure a safe living environment. John would say sweet things to me. "I'll protect you, Mom," and hug me tightly.
Thank you. I love you so much, John.
I hugged John back. Though my marriage with Sean was terrible, I'm grateful that John was born. His smiling face is a treasure, and I want to protect him for as long as I can. Until the day John grows up, I want to face everything with all I've got. For that, I'm going to keep pushing forward.